It's impossible to get a job just by submitting applications. I don't know if you experience this in your life, but for me, I feel like it's very hard to find a job.
Alright, start all over here. Never mind, I'm looking at my nipples. Get this done.
Hey y'all, today I want to talk about why I feel like trying to get a job in 2026 feels very degrading. I don't know about you, but it feels like every time I try to open up Indeed.com or a job searching website, I just feel like it feels very futile. It feels like it's impossible to get a job just by submitting applications. I don't know if you experience this in your life, but for me, I feel like it's very hard to find a job that will accept you. Let's say you send over 300 applications, right? You're probably not going to hear back from majority of them. And majority of them are just going to straight up ghost you. They're not even going to tell you why or give you feedback on your resume. And imagine putting so much effort in writing a resume and cover letter only to be ghosted by more than half of them. And you've been told by society that no one wants to work, right? A lot of older folks, I feel like, see my generation, which is Gen Z, as being lazy, right? How no one wants to work anymore. How it's kind of crazy because I feel like a lot of people are honestly begging for a chance to just land an internship or find their first job coming out of college or university. But it's just very unfortunate how greedy some employers are, right? But like how seriously they want to lowball whoever they're hiring and pay the least amount of work for the maximum amount of effort. They basically want to get the biggest bang for their buck. It's ridiculous how this job, searching process in 2026 sounds like a freaking circus, right? It's ridiculous. And it's really demoralizing, right? Like when you get rejected from many jobs. Like for me, I probably sent over 300 job applications within like half a year. And it's really disheartening to just get rejections after rejections, and I feel like quantity doesn't always like help you. Like I know some people say you gotta shoot your shot, right? Try harder. Send 1,000 job applications. Send 5,000. Send 10,000. But the thing is that not everyone has the mental capability to just keep going, right? And it's not just us. Like, what if it's the system? What if it's society that's causing the issue, not just us, right? So I'm going to be talking about that. So some of you might make the argument of how there's plenty of jobs, right? Like if you go open up Indeed.com or go open up LinkedIn, you can see plenty of job listings and postings, right? But let me explain this to you right now. I feel like majority of these jobs, you see on the job listing sites, a lot of them are actually ghost jobs. So if you don't know what a ghost job is, it's pretty much a job that's just listed to give a better positive perception of the company, right? Like if a company is trying to hire a graphic designer, they might submit a listing for it, right? But they might not actually want to hire anyone currently. And they do it to make their company look better. Like,
choose from thousands of realistic voices to use in your content. Change the way you record podcasts, voiceovers, and branded content with the #1 AI-powered.
Like, they're wanted, right? Like, they're in demand. And sometimes this goes jobs because actually just happened this once. So one of my older company I worked at, not going to disclose the name of it obviously, but basically there was a ghost job listing it put out on Indeed.com. They were looking for another graphic designer. I knew this because I was literally the graphic designer there, and they explicitly said I'm going to do everything by myself. They don't need another person, but they still put out a job posting for a graphic designer, even though like I'm literally the sole graphic designer there. And they're obviously not putting it there to replace me. They're putting it there to either make their company look better, or they want to outsource or just find a graphic designer from a third world country, right? Or another place like Vietnam, right? And turns out it was actually the second option this time. They end up hiring someone from Vietnam. He was offered literally under minimum wage, and I feel like it was meant more for a green card for the person, like because he needed a job here to stay here, right? It's almost like a work visa, right? Think of it like that. I feel like a lot of companies try to find loopholes to pay less or strip benefits from the employees by either internal hiring or outsourcing it to a third world country, right? It's kind of disgusting. And I feel like that's why there's actually not as many jobs as you think, right? Because a lot of times you're not really competing. You're just straight up excluded from the get-go. You don't know that. They're not going to tell you that this job listing is actually fake. They actually already found someone.
Oh my god.
They just putting it there to look good for themselves, which is ridiculous. So another complaint I have with the job searching process in 2026 is that how AI has influenced the process of job searching. I know back in the day, before the internet, before AI even, right? You could literally find job listings posted on a community hall, right? The community town center, right? And it's really easy. And usually the competition would be between you and 3 to 5 people, right? Now, when I look at LinkedIn, see, some jobs have over 1,000 applicants. Some have over 5,000, 10,000 applicants. Like, imagine being put into a pool, into a freaking ocean. Like, what are the odds of landing this job? You might as well freaking go to a casino, right? It's basically like trying to you know, 10x or even 2x your penny stock in the freaking stock market, right? Like, chances of you making a home run is very scarce. That's how it feels. It feels like I'm basically buying freaking penny stocks. That's how I feel about job searching right now. It's ridiculous. And you know, another thing, I'm not sure if a lot of you guys know, but apparently a lot of companies use AI to scan the resume now to search for the keywords, right? And it's kind of ridiculous how fake you have to be. You have to put a lot of word jargon, industry standard words, like incentivize. I don't even want to get into it. It's so stupid. It feels like you have to literally focus on SEO, right? Optimize your resume so AI would put yours over others. And some people even found loopholes to the system. Apparently, there was such thing as invisible ink. Apparently, you can actually put, like, you know, maybe words that AI would favor, invisible link in your resume. Because sometimes they'll just straight up, you know, they'll use AI to scan the resume, and sometimes they'll be scanning the invisible ink too, right? The actual interviewer won't see it, but AI will see it, so they're gonna put your resume on top. I know it's kind of stupid, like, but it actually happens. You can just search it up, you know. There's been cases where this has happened. And another dumb thing is that sometimes AI just straight up rejects you for no reason. Like a lot of ATS systems, which is like the one of the software that interviews use when scanning their resume, right? Basically, you might not even be able to get scanned, right? If you just format your resume the wrong way, and it's unfortunate how that's the case, right? There's like so many factors that could really screw you up, and it's really disheartening to see a lot of people struggle. And I'll get more into, you know, talking about the type of jobs that you can get afterwards. I know plenty of you are gonna say maybe you need to look for a job that's demanding, right? Go into a job that's from an essential industry, right? Go into trades, right? I should have said this earlier, but I'll get into it in a bit. So now I kind of want to talk about like how inflation has really affected, you know, the job market. A lot of companies are being more greedy. They're trying to cut corners. Let's say they put out a job listing for entry-level graphic designer, right? Well, chances are they're probably looking for someone with at least 3 to 5 years of experience. Yup, they're not actually looking for someone fresh out of college or looking for an intern. And if they're looking for an intern, guess what? It's going to be unpaid. They're going to enjoy working free labor or working minimum wage. I had this happen in my current company, actually. Straight up engineering graduates are begging for internships just for the job experience, right? And they're making less than me in a freaking factory. I'm a freaking physical labor, like a production worker. I make more than these engineering graduates in my company, which is absolutely absurd, right? And another thing is how, you know, a lot of people say just try to get a certification. Try to get more experience, right? Volunteer experience. Well, the issue is that there's going to be diminishing returns, right? At some point, you're going to be overqualified, and companies are not going to be willing to pay more just because you have more experience, right? There's going to be a ceiling to the amount of money you can make from a company. And I forgot to bring this up earlier, but internal hiring is another major issue in the job searching process. A lot of companies would rather just straight up either promote an internal employee to a position they're trying to fulfill, or just try to find a current employee's family or relative or friend, right? Get into their company so they can pay them less. Because internal hiring, they don't have to pay them as much. And that has happened in my current company, where straight up they asked me and many other coworkers if any of our friends want to join the company, right? And they join up and they're making less than me. They're making less than what they normally put out in a job posting for similar or same position, right? It's unfortunate. And companies really rarely give raises now, and the reason and why they even do it is to, match with inflation and match with, it's basically that, honestly. And that's the only thing that really incentivizes them to increase their raise. And
this is how a ramen brand reached over 1 billion people without using social media.
In my opinion, going to be one of the top 2 ad platforms in the future, and it'd be kind of stupid of you not to jump on it now.
Like every e-commerce brand, Amy relied on the same as hard.
Import all of our ads. They're everywhere.
You do not need a 9-to-5 job to pay your bills. You need money.
They feel defeated because they feel the system is against them. And this is why I feel like a lot of people end up wanting to start their own business nowadays. You see a lot of people freelancing, see a lot of people doing side hustles. They don't want a typical 9-to-5 job that's soul crushing, right? They're tired of seeking for traditional career paths. They want to find a way out. They want to find a different way to define success rather than slaving away, being a freaking wage slave in a freaking 9-to-5 job, right? Being a corporate drone, right? Just be another cog in the dang machine. And before I close things off, I just want to say a lot of people will tell me right now that I should probably maybe look for a job in the essential industry, right? Like, go into trades, be an electrical engineer or electrician, right? Go into nursing. Well, the thing is that these jobs are very physically demanding. And not everyone is fit and built for these type of jobs. And I feel like you shouldn't just feel like you're forced to be limited between only a couple jobs, right? And a lot of it takes a very physical toll on your body. I actually knew someone who died from being an electrician, actually. I had a friend's father who accidentally passed away. He was an electrician, and it was really unfortunate. And you have to keep in mind, safety is very important too, right? There's a reason why these jobs are in demand, because no one really actually wants to do them, right? No one wants to go out in freaking 40 Celsius degree weather in the hot burning sun in Alberta working as an electrician, right? And you're taking a risk, right? And it's not really built for anyone, right? Not everyone has the physical prowess to handle that type of labor, right? And yeah, that's honestly what I really want to say in this video. I mean, there's not a whole lot more. It's just really unfortunate how, like, AI, gotta mention that AI is automating, replacing a lot of jobs. Actually, I think they're gonna probably replace accounting and paralegal soon, and entry-level jobs are just straight up dead. Like, I feel like AI is just gonna get rid of the entry-level market, right? We could think of the entry-level jobs like small cap stocks, right? Penny stocks. So only like Mag 7, like Nvidia, Microsoft, Amazon, like basically the big dogs would survive, unfortunately. But yeah, that's basically honestly it for this video. Let me know what you think, like, and hope you don't feel alone in this, because I feel like a lot of people underestimate how hard it is to find a job. And yeah, hope you understand where I'm coming from. Anyways, that's it.
Is anybody else getting absolutely destroyed by the job market right now?
LinkedIn is a scam. They're predatory to job seekers, and they are gaslighting all of you to.
So the people who have no jobs, what are you doing?
If you're in your 50s or your 60s or your 70s and you lose a job in today's market, you're
I just got laid off. Loved my job. I cared so much.
We're currently in one of the most unfair job markets that we've seen in modern history.
It's just constant applications, constant rejection.
We keep hearing the job market is strong, but the numbers and people's experiences tell a very different story. Companies are announcing layoffs by the tens of thousands. People are applying for hundreds of jobs and hearing nothing back. And in February, the US economy lost 92,000 jobs. So what's really going on?
Unemployed for 9 months. Every time I try to apply for a job, I literally cannot get the job. Jobs that I have experience for, jobs that I've done before. Today I had an interview and the recruiter was like, yeah, it's going so good. He's like, you've got a really fair chance. There's only one other person. You have more experience than that. And then he texted me later on after the interview. He's like, oh yeah, sorry, I just wanted to let you know you didn't get the job. And I'm really, really trying to hold the faith where I'm like, you know, it's fine. When one door closes, another one opens. I want to get a job. I want life to change. I want to be able to know that I'm going to be able to pay my bills.
Yeah, it hasn't been a great start to the year, and 2025 was nothing short of abysmal. Pre-pandemic, typical job growth is about 2 to 3 million jobs per year in the U.S. Total job growth for 2025 was only 181,000 jobs. That would typically be considered a down month, but that was the number for the entire year. I know a lot of you are feeling the pain. Comment from one of you: you don't just need an emergency fund, you need a financial independence fund before they lay you off. And that's kind of where things are at these days. A typical emergency fund, they used to say, was 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses. Now it's very common for people to be out of work longer than that. One more comment, and it was under the clip that we just watched. You can also try doing DoorDash and Uber Eats to make some money for bills, and I'm going to talk momentarily about the incredibly high number of gig workers that there are in the economy, and those numbers really skew the unemployment rate because they're technically employed, but they're not employed in the job or the career that they actually want.
Is anybody else getting absolutely destroyed by the job market right now? I started a job search looking for full-time opportunities, part-time contract, anything under the sun. I've put out 700 plus applications. I've only gotten a handful of interviews, and one of those interview processes went all the way to the final round, and then, you know, I was told by the recruiter that they were actually no longer pursuing anyone for that role. They were just gonna cancel that role, and then 3 days after they told me that, they reposted the listing. So I would have rather just heard, hey, you're not the right fit.
He is not the only one. When I'm watching job market videos, it's always this now. It's never, oh, I just got a job and I only applied for one job. I only put out a couple resumes and I had calls, I had recruiters. Like, there's none of that. It's just people who are unemployed for a long time or just got laid off. It's brutal, and the numbers back it up. We're going to talk about some more of the recent month numbers momentarily. Another comment from one of you after a recent video I did on how older workers are struggling in this job market. I'm applying for gig jobs and not another career, and even at that, it's hard. Yeah, like I said, there's so many gig workers out there. It's really competitive in that line of work as well. And gig work really distorts the unemployment numbers because you've got tens of millions of Americans working as independent contractors for like DoorDash and Uber Eats and Instacart, and they still count as employed in the statistics. But if you ask most of them, I would think they are probably doing that because they can't find another job, or maybe they're doing that because they actually have a full-time job, and regular full-time job, like the median salary, doesn't cover the bills anymore. But for gig work, independent contractors have no benefits, no health insurance, and no real job security.
So I just got off a Teams call at work. There was about 15 people on the call. Our VP just terminated our positions. I'm feeling really upset about it. In tech right now, a lot of layoffs are happening, and I was very fortunate to have that job and to work with all the people there.
Seeing that a lot too. Tons of companies are doing that. Mass layoffs or laying off entire teams. And it sounded like they just had a group of people on and let them all go together, which is really a tactic I don't like, because companies should have answers for you as to what's next, what your package is, all of that kind of stuff, and then give you the opportunity to ask questions. But hopefully they had a separate meeting with her after that where she was able to get some closure and get some of her questions answered. Some major companies announcing mass layoffs. Oracle just last week announced thousands of job cuts in the face of the AI cash crunch. Whatever that means, all of these companies seem to have AI in their reason for the layoffs. Morgan Stanley, about 2,500 layoffs. Block Inc., a financial tech firm best known for Square, its payment processing platform, deleting about 4,000 jobs, also thanks to AI efficiency. Amazon, eBay, Pinterest are all reducing staff in 2026, and more than 100 companies have filed warn notices for layoffs this year.
If you're in your 50s or your 60s or your 70s and you lose a job in today's market, you're